Hi, welcome back to The Good Life. I'm Bev and this is Mark, and we're in our Consort REEF motorhome, and in this video just wanted to give you a bit of a van tour really, because I know a lot of people do van tours of the Consort REEF. If you look on YouTube, there are lots of them and they all look quite similar at first glance, but actually you can bespoke them to an extent, and we all seem to have something slightly different. So we thought in this video we'd just go through the spec that we've chosen and explain why we went for that spec, and hopefully it'll give you, if you're thinking about a Consort REEF, or if you're just nosy like I am and interested, because we all have different use cases for how we use our vans, and this layout will suit some of you perfectly and it will not appeal to others. But what we found when we were looking to buy a new van, in fact when we were initially looking to buy a van, we spent absolutely months figuring out what we did and didn't want. And if you followed us for any length of time, you'll know that our previous van, Pete, wasn't so dissimilar to this one, but she was 14 years old, wasn't she? 14 years old. And although she was brilliant, there were definitely upgrades that we wanted to make because they suited our way of camper vanning. So hopefully this video will give you some ideas, maybe a little bit of inspiration, not just about the things that you might want, but also maybe the things that you know you definitely wouldn't, because I think that's just as important. So where should we start?
Well, shall we go through the spec as it's laid out in the book, and not cover everything, just cover things that we either wanted to change or specifically wanted when it wasn't standard. Yeah.
So the Consort Motorhomes brochure has all of their different vans in there. They specialise specifically in 2-berth, 2-belted camper van conversions, and they do 2 different van types. They either do a Peugeot Boxer or a Fiat Ducato. You can get the Consort REEF on either of those 2 bases, and we decided to go for the Fiat Ducato.
So the base Fiat vehicle had a higher grade of dashboard and other aspects, didn't it?
They're both on a 6-metre van. The Fiat and the Peugeot Boxer, to all intents and purposes, the base van is almost identical, isn't it? A bit of a different grille, but other than that, they're pretty much the same. I think where the differences come are, as Mark says, in the dash.
Just quickly looking at this. So that is the standard Peugeot spec. That is the standard Fiat spec. That is very similar to that. But the Fiat, you have the option of this, what is sometimes called the Fiat or driver package, where you upgrade. So for instance, the Peugeot comes with I think it's a 5-inch screen, and the Fiat comes with a 7-inch screen.
As standard.
But if you go for the Fiat package, that's upgraded to a 10-inch screen. So you can upgrade the Fiat more than you can upgrade the Peugeot.
Yeah. So we went for the upgraded driver pack, which meant that we got a choice of colours for the van. We didn't want white, we wanted silver. I think there are only the 2 options, white or silver, but we've gone for the R10's metallic silver. We just prefer it. As Mark says, you get the 10-inch touch screen and Apple CarPlay and Android Auto.
With the Peugeot you get the steel wheels with a cap cover. With the Fiat, yeah, you can go for the 16-inch black alloys,
which is what we've gone for. Okay, so that's the base vehicle. Let's talk you through the interior. So if we start with the kitchen, there are a couple of options now with the finish. So you can go for a coloured finish of the kitchen, which is an upgrade. We've gone for the standard basic kitchen, which is the furniture board is the same throughout the whole of the van. We did go for a slightly bespoke version. So ordinarily the REEF comes with a 3-ring burner and gas oven and grill, and I knew I definitely didn't want an oven.
Well, we had Pete with an oven for almost a year, and we never use the oven.
Not at all.
We use it as a cupboard.
And I wasn't massively bothered about having a microwave. We didn't have a microwave in peat, but I thought without an oven, I probably need something. So we actually, it's not spec'd in the brochure here, is it? They have an all-electric option, and that comes with a two-ring induction hob and a microwave. They didn't have an option that we could see for a 2-ring gas burner and a microwave, but we just asked Jane at Consort if that was possible, and there wasn't even any question. It was like, yeah, we can do that. And what we really liked was that they don't put the microwave in the configuration that we've got. They've not put the microwave at eye level, which I really don't like. I can't think of anything more dangerous than lifting hot liquids above your head out of a microwave. So the microwave actually goes where the oven would have gone. So we haven't gained any extra cupboard space by losing the oven, but we have gained a microwave.
So you were saying that for this vehicle, the microwave wasn't shown as an option, but that is the standard spec. These are your upgrade options. What we wanted wasn't in here, but we asked.
Yeah.
So that was important. If it's not there, ask.
They won't fully bespoke everything, and actually that's a bonus for us, because what I didn't want was endless options, because I'm not great with making decisions if I've got too many different choices.
We saw that interview with Motorhome Matt and a dealer at the NEC, and the dealer said, oh yes, great, we can offer you 50 types of fabrics, 300 interior colours, and we thought, oh no. Too many decisions.
Yeah, let's keep it nice and simple. The other thing that I really like about the kitchen in the Reef, and I'm sure it's common in many other vans, but in peat we had quite a low tap. So although it was a single sort of mixer tap, it was quite low, and it was quite hard to get a kettle or anything underneath it.
We had to make sure that your sink was completely clear to get the kettle in the sink and under the tap. And our sink is never clear.
No, but the Reef comes with a high swan neck tap as standard. What we really love, although I don't know if Mark really loves this, but I really love it, is the kitchen sink setup. Because the way they've configured it, you have a drop down flap just to the left of the sink, which gives you an extra bit of countertop, but the whole drainer system lifts off and you can put it down onto the flap, so you've got a natural sort of continuation of your dirty dishes. You wash them, you drain them, you dry them, and it makes sense.
So the sink has a draining ball type cover that sits in the sink with your draining rack on it, and that lifts out to reveal your sink, and it lifts naturally to your left to the flap down, and it works perfectly. And
we've got this lovely additional bit of storage behind the drop down, which we've got things like a squirty bottle for washing up liquid. We keep our coasters in there, we keep hand sanitizer and some air freshener. It's not a massive space, but it's just an additional little bit of storage. The other thing that I really love, and this was actually one of the things that drew us to the Reef over just about every other van we looked at, and that is the positioning of the cooker versus the sink. In peat, the cooker was right next to the lounge area, and the sink was on the right hand side. In the Reef, it's the opposite way around. So when you've got the sliding door open, you're cooking right next to the opening for the door, and you're washing up next to the lounge area, but you've got the drop down flap, so you're not getting spatters and things all over the furniture.
So some might say we're going to get splashes of washing up water, but not really, because you have the flap down that's protecting, and a little bit of soapy water isn't as damaging as hot fat.
Yeah, or tomato sauce or something like that spattering.
Because of that flap folded down, that sort of protects the upholstery.
Yeah. The other thing that we really love about the kitchen, and this kind of will come on to in a little bit, in peat we had a gas bottle that took up a huge amount of space in the kitchen. We did have 2 bottles, you're right actually. and they were stored in a locker effectively underneath the sink, which meant that actually we lost a lot of kitchen space. What I really like as well in the Reef kitchen is that we don't have any cupboards. They're all drawers, because actually getting things in and out of a cupboard, especially at low level, is quite tricky. So we've got a lovely deep drawer below the microwave, and we've got all our bigger stuff in there. We've got the air fryer and various bits tucked around. We've also got 3 good size drawers that are divided up, so it's quite easy to put your kitchen utensils, your kitchen crockery and things compartmentalized, so they're easy to find. And then we've got 1 drop down under the sink, which I guess it is a cupboard, but it's more just a drop down door that allows you to make use of the little bit of space around the sink. It's not a full cupboard. We keep tea towels and dishcloths and things in there.
Yes.
The other thing that I like about the Reef is we've got more power sockets in the kitchen. In Pete we had 1 and it wasn't in a very good position, so if you wanted to use the air fryer, for example, it was really tricky because the cable wasn't really long enough to reach the secure parts of the countertop. It was a bit of a pain. It was doable, but you ended up with sort of cables dangling where you didn't want them. In the Reef, we've got what I call a power tower. What do they call it in the thing? Is it a power dock?
Yes, let's have a look. Yes, power dock.
Power dock. I call it a power tower.
It's a pop-up.
It basically, it pulls up. We've got 2 3-pin sockets and 2 USB-A sockets, and it just nicely squashes back down into the countertop when you're not using it. When I talk about these sort of issues that we had with Pete, I don't think we recognised them particularly as problems when we had Pete. It's more that now that we haven't got the problem, we realise it was less convenient. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely, yes.
Yeah, so those are things that we probably weren't thinking about particularly when we switched vans. But in the Reef, it's clear that everything has just been well thought out, and it all works yes. really, really well, doesn't it?
You have something, you're looking for somewhere to put it down, and there's somewhere to put it down.
To put it, yeah.
You're not constantly moving this to put that there, putting that, and yes, it's all. Yeah,
so not only have you got the flap that pops down on the left-hand side of the kitchen, but you've also got another counter extension that flips up on the right-hand side.
I forget about that.
Yeah, so we've got a lot of kitchen space, and in the front of the cab, because both seats swivel, there is also a place for a table leg and a table to go up the top. So if you did need more kitchen space,
yes,
you can put a table at the front as well. The kitchen just works so well. So at first glance, the kitchen itself doesn't look particularly big, but with all of the extension pieces and the fact that you can put the extra table in, absolutely loads of space. And I've cooked meals quite easily now in here, and it's definitely easier than it was in Pete. Our old fridge was low level, and it opened in the narrowest part of the van.
Yes.
So actually trying to get in and out of it wasn't impossible, but we are getting a bit older, and it wasn't easy to get things in and out. And it was a 60-litre fridge, I think. It wasn't really big enough for our needs. One of the things that was a really important factor when we were choosing a new van was to find a van that had a fridge at eye level and was big enough for our needs. We looked at a couple that were at eye level, but they were massive, way bigger than we needed. Sorry, that's Lucy snoring. I don't know if you can hear her.
Even if she's not asleep, as soon as she relaxes, she snores.
But we knew the 90 was absolutely perfect. It's at eye level. It's very easy to get things in and out. It's right behind the driver's seat. So because the cab area feels very spacious.
So you come in with your bag of shopping, and if it's low level, you've got to have yourself, the bag on the floor and the door open. It's just a shuffle.
Yeah.
Whereas this, you can stand back, have the bag on the floor in front of you, and then the fridge up here. So it's a simple process.
I don't even do that. I have the bag sat on the counter.
Yes.
And it's just so much easier. Fridge is a great size. It's got a good size ice box or freezer box. And again, it's just really well thought out, and the positioning just works really well, doesn't it?
Well, it's the widest part of the van.
Yeah.
So you have plenty of space.
Moving around then, let's go into the living area. Now, I don't think we quite realised how big an upgrade this was going to be. In Pete, we had 2 bench seats that made up into a double bed or a king size bed. We knew we liked that configuration. We knew we didn't want a fixed bed. But when we started to see the U-shaped lounges, we thought actually that's a really good idea because, well, a couple of reasons really. We've talked about this on other videos. One, we get some garage space, and we'll talk about that when we talk about the outside of the vehicle. But also there was dead space here.
So where I'm sat,
was dead space. But I genuinely don't think we realised how much of a difference having the U-shaped lounge would make in terms of comfort and relaxing in the evenings, watching TV, playing. We like to play sort of rummy cub and card games and things. And this layout, the saying it's a game changer does get used way too much. But it was a bit of a game changer, wasn't it?
So where I'm sat, there wasn't a seat here. So once you've got the post and the table, this space under me was sort of dead space. And we'd throw things like rucksacks there, but it was unsightly and you couldn't really get to them. So yes, I think this is far better.
So not only is this seating area more comfortable, I mean, you wouldn't have done this. You couldn't have done this because your bum would be on the floor. But you never really lounged, did you? You tended to sit up. Whereas now we'll chill in the evenings. The seats are a good height, so you've got good support. And we've got this rear shelf. And again, this rear shelf has made such a difference.
Well, in Pete, we always had to put a table up. So you had, but here, you don't need to put the table up, and unless you're specifically needing a table to eat.
Or playing games,
all these places for your cup of tea.
We love this setup. It's very comfortable. It's dead easy to make the bed up as well. So you've got 2 separate slide out extenders that come from this side across to here. So you can have this as 2 singles. You can have it as almost like a horseshoe shaped bed if you want that little bit of extra space for getting up and, you know, going to the loo in the night. But we tend to make it up as a full bed just because the dogs are on the bed with us and it gives us a bit more space. The other advantage of having the U-shaped lounge is that we get this top locker cupboard here that we didn't have in Pete. So and it goes right back into the corners. It goes into that corner. I think this one has got electrics and things, so you don't get the full length here. But this means we've got an additional cupboard we keep our games in there. I think you keep your drone and things up there. So it's just given us an extra bit of space.
Those little baskets are fantastic. We saw those on a different YouTube video.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the channel.
No.
I'll try and remember the name of the channel because they picked up their reef about a month before we did, I think. And they'd gone to IKEA they had these IKEA baskets that fit absolutely perfectly up here. And they're just collapsible baskets. We had to buy 2 sets because they come as 2 large, 2 medium and 2 small, I think, don't they? But the mediums, just the 4 mediums fit perfectly in there. One of the many things we love about the Reef is that when you're sitting in here, and I think this is what makes it feel much more like a motorhome than a camper van, is that you cannot see any part of this as the metal of the van, with the exception of a tiny little trim around the side door.
Sliding door. Yeah,
the sliding door on the side. They've carpeted everything beautifully. It's 2-tone, so you've got a grey carpet and a sort of a beigey colour that work really well together. And the back door, you would never know that this was the back of a van. If you didn't know you were sat in a van, it doesn't look like a van. They've covered every bit of metal, and because of this cabinet up here, you can't see the mechanism of the doors either. So it's all very plush. And I know that probably doesn't sound like a big deal, But in terms of the comfort of being in the van, it really does feel like you're in an apartment rather than a Fiat Ducato. And also this bit here, if you move your head please, again, this bit here is solid. So you've got yeah, you can come back now. You've got this draft excluder piece that kind of covers the where the doors meet, but it's ply covered in this matching carpet, and it just it's little touches like that make it feel very high quality, very luxurious. It doesn't feel like you're sat in a van. All of the windows have blinds. These are basically, we've got the fly screen netting. They've got a very strong magnet, haven't they? So actually, and also the blackout
and some
blinds.
Of these are thermal as well, but
I think they do have a slight thermal quality.
They must stop draft.
Yeah.
Even though it's double glazed.
I don't think of them as thermal blinds, more as blackout blinds. But
well, I'll tell you what I like about the windows. They're tinted.
Yeah, they're all tinted windows. So once we're inside, basically, if the lights are off, you can't see in here at all. The window blinds are great because they open from the, or rather they close from the bottom up. So if you just want to have them slightly open, you can still have some privacy. Whereas
so if you
this way,
wanted to just crack it open a little bit to see what the noise is outside, if you open at the bottom, you've got to bend down and peer out the bottom. Whereas this one cracks open at the top, and you can just see what's going on.
Yeah, and they're really nice,
being a contortionist.
Nicely finished.
But also the other little touches, such as little bits for your glasses, the little bits for your mobile phone and your cables, and your little chargers for your phone at night. Yeah. It's all well thought out. The little cubby hold for your TV remote, so it's just not sat on a shelf and falls off when you drive away. The lighting in here is lovely. So there are so many different lighting options. What we've got on at the minute, on your side, if I put mine on, you'll be able to see. It's just a beautiful LED strip light behind. So you can't see the bulb? It just can't, no. Diffuses nicely. So it sits behind the plinth under the cupboard. So we've got the LED strip lighting. We've also got these little reading lights. There's one, two, just two at the back here, isn't there? And then we've got under cabinet lighting. I think you've got two, haven't you? You've got that one. Well, that's going to make you bright. And then another one on the other cabinet. But then we've also got spotlights down the centre of the ceiling. Yeah. So there's loads and loads of light. There's another light, strip light below the kitchen cabinet. So when you're cooking, you can have your light down, sort of down where you need to be able to see to chop and that sort of thing. So we do regularly configure the lights to suit what we're doing. So if we're playing Rummy Cub, we want one set of lights on so that you can see the colours but it doesn't reflect. If we're wanting to watch television, we'll have a different light on so you get that ambience. You can just, you see what you're doing and you can find the option that just makes it perfect. Yeah. You never have to say, oh, right, but that light's a bit in my eye, or that's reflecting off here. You can get it absolutely perfect for what you're doing. Again, just works really well. We've also got USB-A sockets in each corner here, and one below, or rather by the television, and that's great because obviously when you're going to sleep at night, you want your phone charging close by. Shall we talk about the electrical system? So standard, they've got away from the wet batteries. They only put lithium leisure batteries in, and your standard is 105 amp, and the standard is a 160 watt solar panel to charge that 105 amp. So every van they do, as standard, you get the 105 amp battery and the 160 watt solar panel. They do three options actually, so that you can that's the standard. Double that up. That's the standard. You can double it up. So we went for a 230 amp battery. So slightly more than double. Yeah, slightly more than double. And we had two solar panels put on the roof. So we've got, I need to look at it because I can never remember these things. We went from 160 to The two 160s giving us 320.
Right. We think that is going to be enough for us. But they do an all electric option. But even if you wanted it not all electric, you can upgrade the electrical system. Can I have the book? Because I won't remember
for a
it.
460 amp battery. Whereas two 230s, I believe.
So 460 amp battery upgrade. You do lose a little bit of storage. We haven't really shown this bit of storage, but there's a brilliant little cubby underneath the passenger seat, which is great for us because we keep the dog leads and the dog food and the dog's coats. That is basically the dog box, and it's a perfect little space underneath the passenger seat. With the big upgrade, so when you've got two batteries that give you that 460 amps, one of the batteries goes underneath the passenger seat. Not that that was a reason why we didn't go that big, we just didn't think we'd probably need that much. We might end up being proved wrong.
We spec this on what we plan to use it for, but we haven't used it to its full potential yet.
No.
When we go to Spain in January, that's when we'll really learn.
We've also got, as I say, the two solar panels on the roof, and we were really impressed when we saw them because they're low profile, aren't they?
I did a double take. So when it was in the workshop ready for collection, there were some steps going up to a top office, and I said, any chance I can go up the steps and have a look at the top of the van? And I went up and looked at the van and thought, they didn't put the solar panels on, but what they are is they're the same colour as the silver of the van.
Pretty much,
or the grey, R10's grey.
Yeah.
And they're low profile, so they sit totally flush. And yes, I had to do a double take. I thought there were no solar panels there, and then I looked more closely, and they're so well integrated. They're just fantastic.
They look
and if you approach the van from any side, you wouldn't know there were solar panels up there.
You can't see them. They are really flush, really nice.
Are you going to talk about the inverter?
Yes. So there is an option to have a 2000 watt inverter. We didn't go for the inverter. It's £1,500 at the moment to have the inverter fitted. And when we had a chat with Jane, and she was very, very good.
What does the inverter give you?
Oh, it means that you can. Are you testing me?
Well.
It's testing.
So when you're on hookup, you have 240 volts.
Yes.
When you're not on hookup and you're on leisure batteries, without an inverter, you'd only have 12 volts.
Yeah,
the inverter gives you 240 volts when not on hookup.
Yeah, so we can't use the microwave if we're not on hookup because we don't have the inverter. But we had a good conversation with Jane before we put our order in about our power needs. And we were looking, we've got a finite budget, and we could have gone, it's not a cheap van, I'll be honest, but if we'd had all of the things and the upgrades, it would have been out of our price range, out of our budget. So we had to think about, what do we need, what do we want, what are we willing to not have? And an inverter was something we thought, well, actually, we can do most things off grid. We don't need a microwave. We can cook on gas. We've got diesel heating, which we'll talk about in a moment. We don't need an inverter. And when we chatted to Jane, she agreed. We've actually got a power bank, a 2000 watt Jackery, which has a built-in inverter, and that is our option.
That was one of our reasons to not pay 1,500 for an inverter, because we could get a good sized power bank with its inbuilt inverter for less than that.
So the Jackery and a folding
solar panel.
Is it a 200 watt?
Oh,
I think it's a 200 watt folding solar panel. Was about £1,100. We bought it when it was on offer. They're always on offer, which was significantly less than the cost of an inverter. Is it a little bit more hassle? Yes, it would be easy just to flick the inverter switch and have 240 volt power in the van. But we chose to not have the inverter and go for the Jackery because we've got two vans. I've got my little micro camper. So the Jackery gives us flexibility. I can use it in my van Dotty. We can use it in Roxie when we're off grid. Mark does property maintenance and often uses power tools and things like that. It also means, of course, that when we sell the van, we're not passing that on to the next person, we keep the Jackery. So for us, we chose not to go for the inverter. So that was a very long-winded way of explaining to you why we've decided not to go for the upgrade of the inverter and chosen to go down the power bank route. So we chose the upgrade of a diesel heater rather than going with the standard as it was at the time of having the gas and electric boiler. And the reason we did is because diesel's abundant, we can get it anywhere we go. Gas is getting slightly more tricky to get hold of. We knew we didn't want gas bottles, and we've actually got a 25 litre underslung gas tank, and at the moment the only thing that is fueling is a 2-ring burner.
But worth having.
Oh, definitely worth having.
Because cooking on gas is great, and it gives us the barbecue point.
Yes, so we had a external barbecue point fitted as well. That is an upgrade, that's an addition, that doesn't come as standard. But you're right, we're not quite ready to put all our eggs in one basket and go completely
So though we
electric.
don't use gas much, we wouldn't want to be without it.
No, I like my gas hob. I had some reservations about having a diesel heater. I'd heard they can sometimes be a bit smelly and a bit noisy. I would say it's quieter than the old one.
Sometimes you see YouTube self-builds where they've put a diesel heater in and it's in the cab area, and you can hear the tick, 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 tick of the pump because it has to pump it at a very high pressure. And I thought, oh, are we going to get that noise? It's silent.
It's silent. It's quieter than our old system. Sometimes we put the heating on in here and I have to double check on the panel that we've definitely got the heating on because you can't hear it.
And someone also said you might just get the whiff of diesel when you first start it up. Never do.
Well, we haven't yet. No. That's not to say we never will, but we certainly haven't yet. I suppose
if you started it up and the window was open just above the vent and the wind was blowing the wrong direction, you might on first start up.
No, it was definitely felt like the best decision for us, especially because we like to use the van all throughout the winter, and having better off-grid power now means that chances are we'll be less likely to always go for electric hookup. And if we're not on electric hookup and it's cold and we need to heat the van, it's a heck of a lot more cost effective to heat with a diesel heater than it is to use gas heating. Oh, in terms of sort of fresh water, wastewater, it's all underslung. There's a 90 litre freshwater tank and a 70 litre wastewater tank, and they're both underneath. You can have them insulated, I think.
They are fully insulated, but you could have them heated.
Oh, sorry, they are insulated, that's right. You can have them heated. So we're not really planning to go and do any trips to extreme temperatures.
I think if you're planning to go to the Alps in the winter, there's an option of having a stick-on thermal blanket that plugs in to about 12 volts, just like a heated blanket in your bed, and it just stops the things from freezing.
Yeah, but we didn't go for that option. We've talked about the underslung gas tank,
and it comes with a meter so you can see how full you are. In peak we had 2 bottles. How do you know if the bottle's just about to run out? You could disconnect them, take them out and put them on scales. That's a nose. But this one has a meter, so you know when you're getting low.
But and I should just say that the van does come with a full tank of gas. So I can't see us ever really using it. We researched where the nearest
LPG fill-up station was, and we then found out we didn't need to bother. They give you a full tank.
Given us a full tank.
And they say that, quite often you'll MOT the vehicle after 3 years before you have to fill up your gas tank because it lasts so long.
We also went for the upgrade of leather upholstery, which is kind of, I wouldn't say it's wasted on us, but you can't see it because we have covers on the upholstery all of the time because we've got the 2 dogs. The reason I wanted the leather was because I just think it's more hard wearing. The bits that are going to wear most are where your knees rub on the sort of edges of the cushions. So we went for the leather upgrades. You don't have to. You can have just the fabric. And the fabric is lovely. It's very hard wearing. We loved it because it's all very neutral and there weren't any choices. I know that probably doesn't suit everybody, but it was a nice neutral
as we've always
fabric.
said, if you want to add colour, you can do that with your furnishings, your cushions, etc. And when you get bored of those colours, you can change
Swap
your
it.
cushions.
Yeah.
If your internal fabric is bright red and you get bored of it, you're stuck with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about the exterior of the van.
So this under passenger seat cupboard is really good for all the dog accoutrements. But what I found was trying to reach in there and find things was a bit awkward. But actually the larger size of those IKEA boxes we explained fits absolutely perfectly.
That's unbelievable, isn't it?
What I've done, I've put this little tape handle on the front, so I put it like that. The door makes it flush, and then I have something, because I can't grip that, gives me something to pull out. That means I can get all the dog bits and pieces in and out nice and easily.
And what's brilliant about where it is as well is it means that you can actually feed the dogs without necessarily coming in, or if the dogs are wet, you've got access to their stuff. Because we've got a towel here, but that towel often just sits in
Because a big
that
part of our
box.
procedure is I disappear with the dogs while you either make or unmake the bed. So I can come back and I can get their leads off and I can get their bowls out and I can feed them while you're still doing what you're doing, and when you're finished I can come back in. So
And
yes.
it just makes life so much easier.
But look how that
I know.
fits. It's almost as if this box was designed around the console, and the console was designed around IKEA boxes.
Yes, absolutely brilliant.
That is quite
incredible.
incredible. Yeah, so this was just an empty space, 1.4 metres wide, 1.4 by 600mm by 400mm, and we didn't want to just chuck everything in, so it's all been lined with this 12mm ply and partitioned, so everything's got a space.
It's so easy for everything to just go in and get lost, isn't it?
The beauty is I can get any one thing out without moving many others. So look, there's the table, there's the solar panels, there's the power cable. It just works beautifully.
We also, when we bought the van, we picked up an additional tripod leg so we can use one of the tables outside, and it's made by Fiamma, and that just fits in the corner there, doesn't it? I think when we bought the van they'd actually attached it to the back wall of the garage.
Yes.
But with everything put in the garage you couldn't get to it. Can we show that tripod, Mark? Is that all right?
And look, being OCD, look how I've labelled everything. Table, solar panel. Oh, and even there's my silver screen. My silver screen belongs up there. That's a big old item, and that just disappears.
Because that used to go above the cab
Yes.
in peat, and it meant if it was wet we were dragging moisture into the main part of the vehicle.
And this area is heated. There's a heat vent here, so if it is wet, it dries out. So this is the tripod for when you have your...
If any of you remember from one of our very old videos, Mark actually made a bit of a Heath Robinson job so we could use the old table, but we didn't realise that you could actually buy
We didn't know these existed.
a proper item. So that's by Fiamma, I think, and it's very sturdy, and we got the extra table leg because that's a bit shorter than the one.
So my barbecue tuck's in there. My wind shield is in there.
Everything goes in. I mean, it's not a massive boot, and we have
I've
put
still got spare space.
we have put our camping chairs in the bed locker, the under bed locker, because they do take up quite a bit of space. Okay.
And of course you've got
Oh
the
yeah,
there.
of course we've got the shelf up there as well.
Dog food, toilet rolls,
Cable.
Euro adapter for hooking up when we to 16 amp when we're in Europe. A water fill adapter that came from Consort.
Yeah, we picked that up when we picked up the van. It just
Rather than just bung the end of the hose in the van, hope it doesn't drop out, it clips onto there.
So everything is just well thought out. While we're outside, we'll just talk you through the utility access to things like fresh water and grey waste, etc.
I've said this before, look, I get a little bit of storage here for my cleaning agent and the toilet fluid. So I haven't got to go elsewhere when I'm doing the toilet, it's all in one place. Fantastic.
And now both our utility taps, our water taps, are on this side. On what the grey waste was on one side and the fresh water tap was on the other. So at least this way everything's on the one side. This here is the Truma boiler.
Exhaust?
Exhaust, yeah.
Oh, that's the LPG fill up.
Right,
The
yeah.
underslung LPG tank.
Okay, and then the final thing on the outside of any real interest.
Sorry about the scruffs. Working.
The working man is the gas barbecue point, which is the only thing on the other side, which makes sense because if you're having a barbecue, you want it on the side with the door
side. Little bit cap comes off, plug in, turn on.
Did we have to buy any kind of adapter? Because we've got a Kadak gas
No,
barbecue.
they gave me one. So all I did was I cut the existing adapter that went on the canister off. That obviously went on the old bottles. Cut that off and they gave me a little brass ferrule that fitted into the hose. It goes straight in there.
Brilliant. Right, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed our tour of our Consort Reef. We've shown you it pretty much as it is when we got it from Consort. Obviously when we're living in it, it's got more personality, I suppose, than we've shown, but we didn't show you all the clutter. You'll get that from our vlogs. But if you're interested in the reef, I hope that's given you a bit of food for thought, and yeah, I think we'll leave it there for now. Thanks ever so much for watching. Take care.